I think he was like first fighter who become like a well-rounded fighter. He can strike, he can wrestle, he can take you down, he can hold you there, he can give you like crazy ground and pound. Like he can do like a lot of submission. My opinion, on that time he was like first in UFC. Like you know, he represent real mixed martial arts. Like Matt Hughes and Matt Serra, this is two fights, my favorite GSP fights. And I think, my opinion, it was GSP prime time, that time. I was watching with my father his fights, you know. And he was like almost like all the time my father watches fight. I think he was like my father's favorite fighter. He all the time tell me, look at how he use his hips when he take down people. Look how he uses his elbow, how he uses his hips, how he stand up, ground and pound with elbow. Like my opinion, he showed me this ground and pound things.
Look, George St Pierre, you know, he took 4 years off and everything like that, but he's still one of the greatest, if not the greatest of all time. And you saw that in that fight.
Yeah.
I don't think he was, I mean, Micheal cut him. He cut him with those elbows, particularly from the bottom. But, you know, George St Pierre, he's a special guy. He really is a special athlete. Like, elite guys, like even when someone won a fight, like if you made them fight again, would they win 100% of the time? I don't think they would.
Not 100%. At all.
No,
for
so
sure.
there's things in weird events that can change your fortune in a fight. For sure, if they have a rematch. See, the thing about, like, would you have to restart it with a time machine where there's no memory whatsoever about experiencing each other? Because, you know, you understand patterns. That's why it's weird when you see guys fight training partners. It's like there's guys that just know each other so well that when they get in there, they've already established a pattern. One guy's always bullied the other guy in training. One guy's beat the other guy up, and you can see it when they actually fight. Not just that, but finishes Micheal Bisping and chokes him unconscious with a rear naked choke that was one of the tightest, most cinched up rear naked chokes I've ever seen anybody perform ever. I mean, he had it like a jiu-jitsu guy. Like a lot of MMA guys, they have a harder time getting those gloves fully locked into position. Like there's a difference between, there's a rear naked choke with the palms touching the back of the head, which a lot of people opt for because you don't have to make as much space for the arm. You can get back there, you can grab that head, but the real way to do it is like this. The real way to do it is a karate chop, where you go to the back of the neck with a karate chop, and once you have that in place, then there's this crazy leverage, and it just squeezes the fuck out of someone's neck. And someone really gets one of those locked in, and that's what George did. And the way he did it was like as tight and sweet and 4-star black belt level rear naked choke that you ever see in the UFC.
I think George is incredible. I think George is the consummate professional. He's an inspiration to all aspiring martial artists out there. If there's one man you can model your career on, the way he trains, the way he looks after his body, the way he cross-trains, George St Pierre would be that man. You know, he's an inspiration to myself, you know, so. George's most impressive wins for me were the hard-fought split decision over a very motivated Bj Penn, the much easier TKO in their rematch, plus the head kick KO of the legend Matt Hughes and the armbar victory in their rubber match. Then the effortless shout-outs of fighters like Thiago Alves, Nate Diaz, and wins over Carlos Condit and Johnny Hendricks. And yeah, maybe I am missing one of George's big wins.
Are you intoxicated or something?
But whatever, let's not forget that George was a very good striker in his own right, with an arsenal of shots from Superman punches, hook kicks, Kyokushin style karate, and a spear of a left jab. I'm the only guy to ever fight the middleweight version of George St Pierre, and I can tell you, he was very physically strong, he was fast, but maybe not quite as fast as what I thought he would have been given what we'd seen at welterweight. But I never once felt that physically he didn't have the strength for the larger division. He was able to take me down.
I talk about GSP, I did an essay on Khabib. George St Pierre, he's a fantastic fighter, got 2 losses. One of his last fights was a split decision win against Johnny Hendricks, but he's a 2-division champion. That's kind of what separates them a little bit. But when I look at him, man, George had close fights. George made mistakes. George made a mistake in the Matt Serra fight. Because if he wouldn't have, Matt Serra would never have beaten him. He was better, right?
You know, Matt Hughes, GSP, all those guys that really freaking made us fall in love with the sport, you know, at the very beginning, in 2002, in 2003, 2004. There's a lot of guys, and again, you can't really compare the two, you know, to today's fighters because the sport is so different. But you know, I'd say GSP on merit.
I don't really consider myself the greatest in my area, you know, like it's a
subject that we can debate for a long time, you know. There reason is you can't be the, you know, people sometimes I see young guys, they win the belt and they screaming, I'm the baddest man on the planet. I mean, there is no baddest man on the planet. Nobody is invincible, and even though you're the champion, it doesn't mean there is not another man on the planet that could beat you at that particular day, at that particular time, at that particular moment.